It's not very often we get a four-time All-Star and two-time All-NBA player traded right before training camp, but that's exactly what we got a week ago, as the New York Knicks acquired Karl-Anthony Towns and sent back Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo to the Minnesota Timberwolves as the key assets in return. While it took some time for me to fully process this move, one thing is apparent. The Knicks are going all in, and Towns' strengths as a big man the team hasn't had at their disposal. I'm going to take a deeper dive into Towns' game and how I feel it can translate in the Big Apple. Towns' most notable skill is his outside shooting for a 7-footer. For his career, he shot 40% from three on over 4 attempts per game and can do it in a variety of ways. The All-Star is a dangerous shooter off movement who can knock down threes coming off screens, though the one area he'll really help the Knicks is in pick and pop. The Knicks ran plays for roll men at the league's lowest rate this past season, and many of their pick and pop three attempts were off guards or wings screening. That changes this year. Here's an example where the Timberwolves are running high pick and roll. Though as Nickeil Alexander-Walker uses the screen, Miles Bridges is in drop coverage. For some opponents, this can work, but the coverage leads to Towns being wide open at the top of the key. Alexander-Walker finds him, and despite the effort by Bridges to close out, Towns knocks down the three. That leads us to who could be the real winner of Towns in New York, Jalen Brunson. He's already an efficient three-level scorer, but one area where Brunson really excels is on floaters and runners, where he can show his impressive touch, though now he'll have more room to operate getting to these shots. Here the Knicks are running right side pick and roll. While Brunson does a nice job getting around the screener's defender, look at the spacing as he goes into his shot. The Knicks have three other players in the general vicinity of Brunson. Despite converting the shot, that's less than ideal spacing to operate from. Now for comparison, here's an example of Anthony Edwards running pick and roll. Towns doesn't set the screen, but the Wolves have three threats on the perimeter the Celtics defense has to account for. As a result of this, look at the difference in space Edwards has here when he gets into his shot that he knocks down. With threats such as Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges out on the perimeter, don't be surprised if Brunson's even more effective on floaters and pull-up jumpers this upcoming season. Another interesting wrinkle the Knicks can incorporate for Towns is creating mismatches for him on post-ups. This was something the Celtics did very well this past year with Kristaps Porzingis, and is an area where Towns had success as well. While a decent amount of these mismatches on the Timberwolves came from the All-Star having a size advantage with opposing centers on Rudy Gobert, the team created some of these looks for him too. This starts with Towns setting a screen at the nail, but he quickly works his way to the perimeter to set a quick ball screen for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Though right after this, you can see Towns was able to get a switch with Jamal Murray now defending him. He has the clear height and weight advantage here, and look where he starts posting Murray up. Towns backs his way down towards the paint, and easily goes up and over Murray to hit the jump hook. Last season, the Knicks would have sets where they used Isaiah Hartenstein as a distributor, which is a role Towns can handle. He displays nice anticipation finding cutters or open shooters from the perimeter, can orchestrate handoffs, and also pass out of the post, though the threat of his outside shooting also creates looks for teammates. This starts with Mike Conley running pick and roll with Rudy Gobert, though after Gobert gets the ball on the roll, he dishes it to Towns on the left wing. Now you see an advantage forming. Not wanting a 40% shooter from deep to get a clean look, two Pelicans rush to close out on Towns. Though look at the left corner. Anthony Edwards is wide open. Towns sees this and turns a good shot into a great one as Edwards knocks down the three. Here Towns is in isolation against a smaller wing on the perimeter. While he gets downhill, there's now two more defenders rotating as he gathers in the paint. Though while this is happening, Towns does have open teammates in the right corner and on the right wing, though it would be a tough pass to get either of them the ball. That doesn't faze him, as he makes an impressive pass out to Conley, who hits the open three. With the Knicks having a variety of players who are capable of shooting off the catch, Towns' passing in this regard gives them a center who can create off the dribble in ways they haven't had. The most interesting aspect of Towns joining the Knicks will be his defense. This is a huge area of emphasis for head coach Tom Thibodeau and the culture the team has created. While the Timberwolves are one of the NBA's premier defenses this past season, per Basketball Reference, they were better on that end when Towns wasn't on the floor. One area that will be interesting for the Knicks is Towns struggled defending opposing roll men last season. Here Damian Lillard and Brook Lopez are running pick and roll, but after the initial screen, there appears to be some confusion. Towns is in drop coverage, but Alexander Walker is going stride for stride with Lillard. Towns' positioning here also doesn't make a ton of sense given the Bucks' personnel, as Lopez is now wide open at the top of the key. Lillard finds him, and it leads to 3 points. Here, PJ Washington is setting a screen for Luka Doncic in pick and roll. While Towns stunts to Doncic, this needs to develop quicker, especially with how Doncic processes. Now Towns doesn't only have to cover a lot of ground, but he tries running around a teammate to get back to his man. Washington gets the ball and immediately puts it on the floor and gets by Towns, who hasn't fully recovered, which results in a layup. Despite that, Towns did display some positives on the defensive end. He fared well defending in the post and flashes movement defending smaller players off the dribble while forcing them into tough jumpers. So, what should we expect from Towns this season with the Knicks? That's easier to figure out on the offensive end, where he not only can score in a variety of ways, but the threat he provides along with his facilitating will also open things up for teammates. The defensive side of the ball is the interesting part, especially as Mitchell Robinson's set to miss the early stages of the season. Thibodeau has coached Towns before, and defensive intensity will be required every night. Though between the coach's ability to scheme and the defenders around him, even if it doesn't click immediately, I'd figure the Knicks do their best to emphasize Towns' strengths while limiting his weaknesses on that end of the floor. The Knicks are clearly all in, and the addition of Towns only adds more intrigue to what was already set to be a season in New York where expectations are the highest they've been in quite some time. If you made it this far, thank you, and if you enjoyed the video, don't hesitate to like and subscribe to stay up to date on my latest basketball analysis.